Hey, it's Kusk. It's been a while since I made a video, I know. If you're wondering what this channel is, it is a channel focusing on lost, forgotten, or underrated music. Not astrology or typology, I know. Ironically enough, I do have an Instagram where I'm going to be posting about this topic, though, under this email, so you can say that is my advertising angle of this channel, even though it was completely on accident. My inspiration for this channel draws from Nate the Mate, Wavy Web Surf, and my personal experiences. I feel like Nate the Mate has brought a new angle to video essays since I haven't seen many done on music. So I find his breakdowns of bands and albums, maybe even songs. I haven't watched every single one of his videos. I mainly just saw him break down bands and albums, have brought a new light to the genre, so to say. And I want more of it. That's why I'm making these videos. When it comes to Wavy Web Surf, I definitely have looked through old internet in this video. And I think I'm going to end up really looking through some past files when looking at bands in the future. So I think just the looking at the past and really just looking into these bands kind of has an influence from him and how he looks at old memes. My personal experiences mainly lie in visiting record stores and finding one of my ideas there for a video. I will talk about that idea later. But with that being said, expect a mix of breakdowns and analyses of music in general. With that being said though, my old content is still being created. You can visit my Instagram or the Twitter that is connected to that Instagram, and we can talk all about it there. But for now, we're going to do some analyses on music. Have you ever found something lost in time? One time, I do remember doing this. I was on Discord, talking to another person about an artist that was active in the early 2010s. He was an acoustic artist that had a lot of attention from Van's Warped Tour. He either passed out CDs or he was performing there in the acoustic tent usually. He might have performed at other stages, but that's how I remember it back in the day. The artist went by Buttons. The main person behind Buttons was Hutton Baird. Around 2016, he seemed to disappear from the music scene. I can make a whole entire video on that later. Fast forward to 2019, he is now in a band called Amaya. He's not the singer, but he is the drummer. Nor does he play guitar in the band. The Amaya has music both on YouTube and Bandcamp if you want to look them up. I should also add the Amaya are vastly different from Buttons since this is a post-hardcore band while Buttons was acoustic. Anyways, we wanted to look up the Amaya because we were in shock that he was still making music, and we did want to still support him and see what he was up to. When trying to pull up his artist info on the FM Chord bot, the FM Chord bot brought us a completely different artist than the Amaya. We did end up finding their internet presence outside of Last.fm though. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is the artist with 20 listeners on Last.fm, 8 followers on Spotify, and an album from the year 2000. At the time of recording this. Best kept secret. She only made one CD, but it's amazing. Buy it. You won't be disappointed. Amaya will rock your musical world. Smiley face. L. Powell. A 5-star verified purchase of a digital copy of Organic by Amaya Andreas. This review was made on December 10th, 2012. Hey, I just want to add a little note here. The record label for this album is Sanitary Feminine. It's not Feminine Sanitary. I don't know why I get it confused, but I swear I looked up Sanitary Feminine for my research, and I've written it many times in this review that I have in front of me. I know it's Sanitary Feminine, and if you want to look into it, it's Sanitary Feminine, not Feminine Sanitary. Please excuse the errors that I have made in this video. Amaya Andreas popped up instead of the Amaya Lights. She has one album titled Organic and it was released in June of 2000. It's an acoustic album that stayed true to its time yet provokes emotion in the listener today. When first hearing it, I could hear it straight through its zero issues, and I can tell all the emotion and work she put behind the album. It's a rather short album. It is 8 tracks long. Physical copies were produced, and still today you can hear it on Spotify and YouTube. However, Andreas is difficult to look up online. There is not much information now about her. Amazon and physical releases say the album is under Sanitary Feminine Records, while Spotify says this album is an independent record, and AllMusic says it's an Orchard release. The physical copies do say it's an album under Sanitary Feminine Records. So I'm guessing that is telling the exact label it was under. No other artist, I believe, is under this record label or was. The only information I can find about it now is a business site saying an address and a phone number to contact. I'm not going to post this up on the video, and I don't believe you should look up this phone number and address because the record label is defunct now, and you don't know what's there in that address, and you don't know who has that phone number. It's just not worth looking into. One thing is that the business site for this record label is based out of the same state as Andreas, which is New Jersey. Her old website in 2003, amayaandreas.com, had been converted into a site for this record label as well, sporting a big logo of it, and had hidden options behind, a flash player. Obviously there's like a cover and you'd click on things, and when you click on something it would lead to a different place. That's the kind of site it was. Today, I couldn't really explore the site because Flash is becoming extinct, sadly, and it's also just old and it's on the Wayback Machine. Sometimes you can't access the full site through those screenshots. So we know that Amaya had her own record label named Sanitary Feminine. But where does Orchard come in? Orchard probably distributed the album. Not produce, but distribute. Like Regal Films and the SpongeBob movie. Well, that SpongeBob movie, you know which one I'm talking about. Andreas' music was featured in ads promoting the TV channel Oxygen and 2MTV shows. Those shows being Real World Extreme Challenges and Road Rules, which was a reality TV show at the time. During that time frame, Orchard also released, not released, but helped distribute independent releases. They also worked on television and film scores. This company, Orchard, was also bought out in 2003 by Dimensional Associates. This was also around the time Arrested Development was being made. Speaking of other people who worked on this album, they were Adam Deitch, Brian Bell, Kermit Discroll, Frank Hotch, and David Schwartz. If you don't know who David Schwartz is, he actually wrote the score for Arrested Development. Orchard's involvement in this album was distribution, and definitely connections were made through this album or from Orchard to Feminine Sanitary. During this time, this time being 2003, Orchard had bought a few independent labels. Feminine Sanitary was clearly not one of them, though. Due to recent heavy volume of online sales, organic may not be available at every online retailer. If you're having trouble finding it, please go to the ordering section of this website for more retailer choices. Each link will bring you directly to the ordering pages for organic, so no need to search. Amaya's management team is working to solve this availability problem. Thank you. Going back to Amazon, a review from Sadie in 2003 says, "From what I hear, she is working on a new CD. I am sure it will be good, if not better." If you're wondering, it seems like Sadie wasn't necessarily right or wrong in this claim. Everywhere on the internet only has organic listed as the only release for Maya Andreas. Even Last.fm does, and Last.fm was quite popular 2 years after 2003. Well, 2005. She most likely has only released organic under her name. Unless if the Flash site is hiding any more music, but looking at the other Amazon reviews, I doubt that. With Orchard buying all these independent record labels, maybe Sanitary Feminine had lost a distributor that helped release albums to the public. Around 2001, they did have stocking problems with the album and keeping up with the demand of the album Organic. In the early 2000s, it may have been easier to not distribute your albums on your own and have extra help. Back then, there weren't many options for printing and pressing. Even then, Bandcamp was not a thing, and being DIY just got slightly easier at the time, with the invention of the home computer. But computers were still not as common as they are today. This means that there was less tools given to up-and-coming artists when it came to advertisement, printing, and pressing. Like I said, there are some pretty old reviews on that Amazon page. So Amazon was definitely a distributor that helped sell this album. And then Amazon was quite small itself. I believe it was only known for books, so I was shocked to see that album being up there for a long time since its release. And like the interlude that I had earlier in the video, there were other sites than Amazon also selling the album. It's valid to assume that artists at the time needed people to help make these physical copies or help with advertisement. There's also the case that Orchard could have taken rights from this record label or for this album, since it has happened to artists today even. If not that, lack of funds could have happened, and that's why LP2 was not made or released in 2003. Crowdfunding was also not commonplace in the early 2000s. Other than that, other valid assumptions could be a loss of interest or life just hitting Amaya Andreas, causing less time to really work on music and record it, or just less money and time to really go after music. Question: where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, in a perfect world, I would be able to do what I love, which is play live every night, and have it be enough to financially sustain me. And that's really it. We're not a studio band. It's the live shows we get off on. I'm not interested in having disgusting 6-foot-tall cardboard cutouts with my scantily clad likeness slapped in fricking record stores. I loathe that stuff. People can love me or hate me. They can come to that conclusion through my words, not the size of my... or the extra fat I packed on while I'm on tour. I would rather have my face was on nothing at all. An interview with the Amaya Andreas, February 2000. The record label Sanitary Feminine was probably discontinued around 2015, because that's a time where I could find screenshots saying the site ran into a 404. Other than that, the site had an MP3 player in its later years, like the late 2000s and early 2010s, like a little MP3 player graphic, and a few songs under it. But after looking at this for a few seconds, the screen always turned to white for me. And the Wayback Machine said, I don't have the screenshot. So who knows if there are more Sanitary Feminine bands, or if, Amaya released more music under a different name or under her name. Who knows? It's just one of those things that is lost in time. However, my final notes are, someone on Amazon named Rachel really dislikes bubblegum pop and made it clear in her review. It was pretty funny to read. I'll put it up while you're seeing it, so I mean, I don't know why I find that review so funny. But on a serious note, Amaya Andreas released a heartfelt acoustic album in her college years in the year 2000, when the new millennia was really kicking off. People thought they were gonna die from robots, for crying out loud. What an exciting way to start off the whole century, having at least toured the northeastern half of the United States and having your music on TV. That's pretty cool in my opinion, and impressive even though it was a long time ago. It's still neat to think about and is still an accomplishment. Outside of accomplishment, you can really tell this album was not half-arsed at all, which is rewarding to hear on its own. Thank you for watching, and if you know any information about Sanitary Feminine, I always mess it up. If you have any information about Sanitary Feminine or Amaya Andreas' music, I'd like to know more because I am genuinely curious about this artist. And I really am not thrilled to hear that this artist did go under the radar in the upcoming years of their debut. Well, her debut. She still had other people working on it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you. And go check out Organic by Amaya Andreas. Stream it. It's on Spotify. Alright, now I'm gonna seriously end it. See y'all later.